and share and subscribe. Yay!
What's up, Broncos country, and welcome to another episode of Keep Your Eye on the Ball, your YouTube channel dedicated to all things Denver Bronco football. As I said in our last episode, we are just a few weeks away from training camp. So that means we need to start doing positional reviews, and we need to go group by group and decide who is going to be our starters going into this year, who's going to be our primary contributors, and who's going to be best in the rest. Because let's face it, not every guy on the team right now is going to be part of the 53-man roster when the season starts. As always, remember to like, remember to share, remember to subscribe, remember to buy me presents, and let's just jump into the episode with both feet, and I'm going to up your knowledge on who is going to be in our tight ends this year. It's not a big group, but it is a group that does have some question marks and does have some emerging talents that may be earning more playing time than we think right now. So as always, let's jump into the episode. So let's get started. I will be reading from some notes that I made. So if you see me looking off screen, it's literally, I'm just looking at my notes because I want to get it right for you. Now, I did these in alphabetical order. So the first one that we're going to talk about is Nate Atkins, who wears number 45. He is 6'3", 252 pounds. He did catch 4 passes for 22 balls last year. Now, that's not a ton, but he was an undrafted rookie free agent, so that is pretty significant. Next one will be Greg Dulcich, who wears number 80, 6'4", 245 pounds. He caught 3 passes for 25 yards last year. For anybody who had Greg Dulcich as a fantasy sleeper on their team, raise their hand. Oh, me, right. I had him. Raise your hand if Greg Dulcich was a fantasy dud for you last year. Oh, right. Also me. Yeah, okay. He did. We're not going to get into this isn't a fantasy football show. This is a straight football show. Don't get me started on Greg Dulcich as far as fantasy goes. The next tight end we'll talk about is Lucas Kroll, 6'6", 260 pounds. Kroll caught 8 passes for 95 yards and 1 score. Our next one is going to be Adam Troutman, 6'2", 253 pounds. Troutman did catch 22 passes for 204 yards and 3 scores. And finally, rounding out the group will be Thomas Yasmin. He is an undrafted rookie from Utah. If I had stats to look at, I would provide them to you. If I had a bio, I would provide them to you. Unfortunately, there's not much out there on Yasmin other than he's an undrafted rookie from Utah. You know as much about him as I know at this point. Now we start with who do I think the starter is going to be from this group. And I know it's not going to make a whole lot of people happy when I say it's going to be Adam Troutman. Why do I say Troutman? So I say Adam Troutman for this very reason. He is the most consistent of the 4 guys, and he knows the system better than probably the other 4 guys. I don't think Adam Troutman is going to be wowing anybody this year and sneaking up on anybody and catching 50 balls, but he is serviceable in the job that he does. He is a good enough receiver that you have to account for them. He's a good enough blocker that he's in base, and he knows the system. That's why he's a starter. Yes, Greg Dulcich is more talented. Yes, Greg Dulcich is a second-round pick. Yes, Greg Dulcich has more talent than Adam Troutman at this point, but it's just a matter of health. And right now, Dulcich has not proven that he can stay healthy for a full 16-game season. So at this point, it's just not feasible to put him in the starter group until he can consistently prove that he can stay on the field and that his blocking is at least adequate, which also needs a lot of work. Now moving on to the contributors. I think Dulcich is still going to be counted on to be part of the rotation. It's undeniable he is the best pass catcher out of the 4 guys on the roster right now. Now, that also doesn't mean that you should not keep an eye out for Lucas Kroll right now. For anybody that was following me last year, for anybody that follows me on Twitter, I am the president of the Lucas Kroll fan club. It's lonely in the room for me because I'm the only one there. So space there's a lot of space. It is limited, but there is a lot. Get on the ground floor now on the Lucas Kroll train is what I'm saying. He's obviously, I told you how big he is, 6'6" and 260. He runs a 4.5. He is an athletic freak, and when you watch him run in the open field, you can see why the team likes him. What he really needs to work on is just, frankly, the tight end position. He needs to learn the nuances of that. But even as a blocker, not all the way there, but he has the size and the physical strength to be a contributor there. And I will tell you right now, if Dulcich cannot get his health issues under control, do not be surprised if Lucas Kroll is knocking on the door for some more playing time in 25. Now, best of the rest. I lump Atkins and Yasmin in there. I know Atkins did make the team out of camp, and Atkins does have a lot of flexibility in that he can play H-back, he can play a little fullback, he's a special teams contributor. So I think that I think him and Yasmin are going to be fighting for that last spot. And unfortunately, I just from not knowing a ton about Yasmin, Atkins does have a leg up on that just because of his flexibility, and that's exactly what you want from the last few guys on the roster. You want a guy with positional flexibility, so that way he can fill a bunch of hats, but he doesn't take as many roster spots. So if I had to guess which 4 guys are going to make it, it's going to be Atkins, it's going to be Troutman, it's going to be Dulcich, and it'll be Kroll. So that wraps up this episode, and you're probably thinking this is a little bit shorter than it normally is. Well, this is some of the feedback that I've gotten, and I'm going to try to make these under 10 minutes so that way it's digestible for you guys to listen to, maybe keep it in the background while you're working, and I can keep, growing the channel and getting these out to you. Next week, we'll be taking another dive into another position group. What it is, I don't know. Could be the linebackers, could be safeties, could be cornerbacks, could be quarterbacks maybe. Who knows? That's what makes life interesting, the mysteries. So as always, thank you so much for all the interactions that I get. Remember to like, share, subscribe. Any kind of interactions you put on the channel, I will reply back to personally to either give you some feedback, to answer some questions. If you think I'm way off on Thomas Yasmin and you're like, bro, he's gonna be this team's Gronk and you are just way off, I will say, are you sure? Can you send me some information? Because I don't know anything about him, frankly. But, even if you think I'm way off on anybody else, let me know and I will get back to you. And as always, thank you so much for watching the episode. And as always, keep your eye on the ball. And I'll talk to you next time. Your YouTube channel dedicated to all things Denver Bronco football. Sunday. I don't know where I was going with that.